Let's be honest for a second. How many years did you spend in school learning a language? 3 years? 5 years? Maybe 10. And yet, if I dropped you in the middle of Paris or Tokyo or Berlin right now, could you have a deep conversation about your hopes, your fears, or even just politics? Or would you struggle to order a coffee without panicking? If you are like 99% of the population, the answer is the latter. This isn't your fault. You were the victim of a system designed to teach you about language, not how to use language. You were taught to treat French or Spanish like a biology specimen, something to be dissected, analyzed, and memorized. But a language is not a dead frog in a lab. It is a living, breathing beast. I have spent the last decade deconstructing the process of language acquisition. I have learned multiple languages, not because I am a genius, but because I stopped acting like a student and started acting like a biohacker. I looked at the neuroscience, the psychology of memory, and the habits of hyperpolyglots. Today, we are going deep. This is not a hacks video. This is a manifesto. I'm going to share 20 hard-won lessons, 20 laws that will completely shift how you approach this skill. If you apply these, you won't just learn a language, you will rewire your brain. Welcome to the Brain Line. The first law is the most painful one to accept. You have to kill the student inside you. When you identify as a student, you subconsciously tell your brain that the language is outside of you. It is a subject to be studied. It is something you do on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. But language is not a subject. It is a behavior. Think about the actors who learn languages for roles. They don't just memorize lines. They become the character. When you speak your target language, you are essentially role-playing a version of yourself who speaks that language. You need to adopt a new persona. If you are learning English, you are not a Brazilian learning English. You are an English speaker who happens to be in the early stages of development. This shift changes everything. It changes how you walk, how you project your voice, and how you handle mistakes. Stop studying, start being. Here is a metric that predicts language success better than IQ, your tolerance for ambiguity. In school, you are rewarded for having the right answer. In language learning, you will spend months, maybe years, not understanding what is going on. You will read sentences where you only know 50% of the words. You will listen to podcasts and miss entire paragraphs. The average person hates this. Their brain screams, "I don't understand. This is frustrating," and they quit. The polyglot loves this. The polyglot sits in the fog of confusion and feels comfortable. You must learn to be okay with not knowing. If you stop to look up every single word you don't know, you are killing the flow. You are killing the pattern recognition machine that is your brain. Trust that clarity comes with time. Embrace the fog. I hear this excuse every day. I'm just not good at languages. I don't have the language gene. Let me give you some no BS neuroscience. Unless you have a specific cognitive pathology in Broca's area or Wernicke's area, your brain is hardwired for language. You learned your first language perfectly. You learned complex grammar, syntax, and thousands of words before you could even tie your shoes. The problem isn't talent, it's method and anxiety. Adults fail because they are terrified of sounding stupid. Children succeed because they don't care. The talent you see in others is usually just a combination of lower inhibition and higher exposure time. Your brain is plastic. It will adapt to whatever input you give it. If you feed it Spanish for 4 hours a day, it will physically change structure to accommodate Spanish. That is a biological fact. Let's talk numbers. The English language has roughly 170,000 words. If you try to learn them all, you will die of old age before you finish. But here is the secret. You don't need them all. In fact, you barely need any of them. The Pareto principle states that 80% of effects come from 20% of causes. In language, it's even more extreme. In almost any language, the top 1,000 most frequent words account for nearly 85% of all daily conversation. Schools teach you words like stapler, ceiling, and chalkboard in the first month. Why? When was the last time you urgently needed to discuss a stapler? Focus your energy on the high-frequency lists first. Learn the connectors, the verbs of being and doing, the pronouns. Ignore the obscure nouns until you need them. If you know the top 1,000 words deeply, you are functionally fluent in most casual situations. Have you ever noticed that you speak better when you've had a glass of wine? Or that you speak worse when a teacher is staring at you? This is called the affective filter, a concept introduced by linguist Stephen Krashen. Think of it as a gate in your brain. When you are stressed, anxious, or bored, the gate closes. Input cannot get in, and output cannot get out. The school system keeps this gate permanently closed by using testing, public correction, and judgment. To learn, you must lower the filter. You need to create an environment where you feel safe, relaxed, and interested. If you are stressed, you are not learning. You are just surviving. This is the golden rule. You cannot speak a language you have not heard. Babies listen for 2 years before they form complex sentences. Yet, we expect adults to start speaking on day 1. It's unnatural. You need to flood your brain with comprehensible input. This means listening to and reading content that is just slightly above your current level. Do not force speech too early. It creates bad habits and pronunciation errors. Spend the first few months just absorbing. Listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos, read graded readers, fill the tank before you try to drive the car. Stop memorizing lists of words without context. The brain does not store information in lists. It stores information in networks of association. If I tell you the Spanish word for apple is manzana, you will likely forget it. But if I show you a scene in a movie where a character dramatically bites into a poisonous apple and yells, "La manzana," your brain tags that emotion, that visual, and that sound together. Always learn vocabulary within sentences, never isolated words. Context is the glue that makes memory stick. Here is a tactical tip. Don't jump from topic to topic. Use narrow reading or narrow listening. If you are interested in cooking, read 5 different articles about making pasta. Why? Because the relevant vocabulary, boil, strain, sauce, flour, will repeat naturally across those articles. This repetition is organic. It feels easier because you already know the context. By staying in one niche for a while, you master that domain's vocabulary quickly, giving you a confidence boost to move to the next domain. You have an accent because your mouth muscles are atrophied. Every language requires a specific setting of the jaw, the tongue, and the lips. English is spoken largely in the back of the mouth. French is in the front, with the lips rounded. Mandarin requires tonal shifts in the throat. Treat pronunciation like going to the gym for your face. You need to physically drill these sounds. If your mouth doesn't hurt after a practice session, you probably aren't pushing hard enough. Don't just listen to the sound. Mimic the physicality of the speaker. Watch their mouth. Where is their tongue? How open is their jaw? This brings me to the single most effective exercise for fluency, shadowing. Developed by hyper-polyglot Alexander Arguel, shadowing involves listening to audio of a native speaker and repeating it exactly as they say it, simultaneously, or just a split second behind while walking. Why walking? Because it engages your motor cortex and keeps you alert. Why simultaneously? Because it forces you to stop translating in your head. You don't have time to translate, you just have to flow. It builds rhythm, intonation, and speed like nothing else. The human brain is designed to forget. It's a survival mechanism. This is described by the forgetting curve. You learn something today, and by tomorrow, you have lost 50% of it. You cannot fight biology with willpower. You must fight it with algorithms. You need to use a spaced repetition system, SRS, like Anki. These systems show you a flashcard right at the moment you are about to forget it. If you know the word well, the app won't show it to you for a month. If you struggle, it shows you tomorrow. This makes your study time 10x more efficient. Never rely on your own judgment of when to review. Trust the algorithm. In a digital age, we have lost the connection between the hand and the brain. The Scriptorium Method is simple. You write out sentences by hand while speaking them out loud. 1. Read the sentence. 2. Look away and hold it in your working memory. 3. Say it out loud. 4. Write it down. This engages 3 distinct pathways: visual, auditory, and kinetic. It forces your brain to process the data deeply. It is slow, yes, but it is deep. 1 sentence learned this way is worth 50 skimmed on an app. You do not learn while you are studying. You learn while you are sleeping. During REM sleep and deep sleep, your brain consolidates memories, moving them from short-term storage to long-term architecture. It cleans out the toxins and builds the neural bridges. If you study for 4 hours and then sleep for 4 hours, you have wasted your time. Prioritize sleep. If you are tired, stop studying. You are just spinning your wheels. A 20-minute nap after a heavy study session can significantly boost retention. There comes a point where you must burn the bridge back to your native language. This is the monolingual transition. This means you stop using bilingual dictionaries. If you don't know a word in French, look up the definition in French. This forces your brain to think within the logic of the target language. It stops the translation process. It will be hard at first. You will read a definition and not understand the words in the definition. But this struggle is where the magic happens. It creates a closed loop of the language in your mind. In school, a mistake is a red mark. It's a punishment. In the real world, a mistake is just data. When you say something wrong and a native speaker looks confused, that is immediate, high-quality feedback. Your brain registers the confusion and adjusts the model. If you are not making mistakes, you are not stepping out of your comfort zone. You should aim to make 200 mistakes a day. Be proud of them. The person who has made the most mistakes is usually the person who speaks the best. I can't learn because I don't live in Spain. False. I know people who have lived in Spain for 20 years and speak terrible Spanish. I know people who live in rural Ohio and speak perfect Spanish. Immersion is a digital environment. Change your phone language. Change your YouTube algorithm. Follow only target language accounts on Instagram. Listen to radio from that country while you cook. You can create a virtual bubble where your brain is forced to process the language for 4 to 6 hours a day without ever leaving your house. You don't need a plane ticket. You need discipline. You will hit a wall. You will feel like you are getting worse. This is the intermediate plateau. Understand this. The plateau is not stagnation. It is consolidation. Your brain is busy organizing the massive amount of data you have fed it. It is like a software update installing in the background. The screen looks frozen, but the processor is running hot. Do not quit during the plateau. This is where the amateurs drop out. The pros keep showing up, knowing that a breakthrough is just on the other side. Language is not just words. It is culture encoded in sound. You cannot truly speak Japanese without understanding the concept of hierarchy and respect. You cannot speak Brazilian Portuguese without understanding the informality and warmth of the culture. Learn the gestures, learn the humor, learn the history. When you understand why, a culture expresses itself a certain way, the grammar rules stop seeming arbitrary and start making sense. It is better to study for 1 hour a day than for 7 hours once a week. The brain operates on frequency. By touching the language every single day, you keep the neural pathways active, myelination. If you skip 3 days, the moss starts to grow back over the path. Consistency is the compound interest of language learning. You won't see the results day to day, but over a year, the difference is astronomical. Finally, the most important law: logic will not keep you going when it gets hard. Only emotion will. Why are you doing this? Is it to connect with a partner? To read philosophy in the original text? To escape your current reality? You need a visceral, emotional anchor. It would be cool to speak Italian is a weak anchor. You will quit. I need to speak Italian to talk to my grandmother before she dies is a strong anchor. Find your hunger. Without it, the techniques mean nothing. Learning a language is the closest thing we have to a superpower. It is not just about ordering food or asking for directions. It is about downloading a new operating system for your mind. When you speak another language, you perceive the world differently. You become a more complex, more empathetic, and more capable version of yourself. The school system may have failed you, but that story is over. You have the roadmap now. The 20 laws are in your hands. The only variable left is you. Are you going to remain a passive student, waiting to be taught, or are you going to become an active learner and take what is yours? If you found value in this, if this sparked a fire in you, do one thing for me. Go to the comments below and tell me, which language are you going to conquer, and what is your why? I want to see your commitment in writing. This is the Brain Line. Wisdom without the noise. Class dismissed.